Welcome to another episode of Mission Compliance, Unleashing Growth Potential for Defense Contractors. In today's episode, we tackle a major concern that's keeping many smaller defense contractors up at night. CMMC is coming. How are smaller defense contractors going to afford it? With the clock ticking on CMMC requirements, many small businesses are facing the challenge of balancing cybersecurity compliance with tight budgets. Join us as we explore what CMMC means for smaller contractors, potential cost-saving strategies, and how to navigate this crucial change without breaking the bank. Welcome to the jungle. We're joined once again today by Mike Frater, President of On-Call Compliance Solutions and a CMMC Professional Assessor. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure.
So, Mike, today we're talking about CMMC and the smaller defense contractor. Much like the Azure Government episode from a couple of weeks ago, you recently released a video about this topic on our YouTube channel. But let's dig into that a little bit more. What are the biggest financial challenges smaller defense contractors face when trying to achieve CMMC compliance, and how can they overcome them?
Well, I think there's a lot of financial challenges. As a matter of fact, actually, when we went from CMMC 1.0 to CMMC 2.0, the majority of that move was related to cost. It was related to the numerous complaints, the relentless complaints of industry stating that this was an overly burdensome cost to them and it wasn't doable. And that was primarily because of cost. There's cost to hire consultants. There's cost to implement, cybersecurity solutions if the company doesn't have it to begin with. And so the bottom line is cost is a huge problem. So, one of the things I'll tell you what one of the things is that you can do is the reality is if you have no money, right? If you're a small business and you have no money, right here on the channel, right on our YouTube channel, I think it's at On Call Compliance, right? YouTube.com/at On Call Compliance. Here's the deal. We put out over 1,000 videos, okay, diving into the intricacies of each control, how to solve for it, everything you could possibly ever need. So number one, there's no more excuse that it's too expensive to understand it because we made enough videos right here on YouTube to make it so that if you really have no money and you got all the time in the world because you're not making money, you can figure this out. Second thing is you can visit oncallacademy.com, which is our learning website. We put out a learning product where you can learn all about CMMC Level 1, CMMC Level 2, and none of those courses are over $497. They're very inexpensive. And the bottom line is, again, video walkthroughs on everything, really detailed, PowerPoint presentations on exactly how to do what you need to do, covering scenarios specific to small business, along with some medium and larger business. And again, that's not expensive. I'm sorry. If you're in business, $500 is $500. I'm not saying it's no money, but it's just if you're in the defense industry, you're probably not on a really small contract, right? I'm not saying that everybody's got like big giant contracts, but they're not $5. So there's two angles right there where for very little money you can learn about compliance, get compliant, et cetera, on your own. But reality is it costs some money. Now On Call again has even created another tier of support. We have a very cost-effective micro-sized consult for those companies that are 5 employees and less. And also we have another one where, if you're under 25 employees, it's still not very expensive. Definitely the cheapest that I've ever heard of still years later. We are a company born out of the need to help small businesses, particularly in the defense industry. Nobody really cares about small defense contractors. A lot of people don't even think they exist. We know they exist. We've seen it firsthand. There are hundreds of thousands of them. And we're all about being the ones that bring this price down to make it more affordable. So, man, that's a plethora of resources already, right? As I like to say, just call On Call. We will solve it for you. Um, As far as the IT solutions that are involved in properly securing your network, the reality is you should already be spending that money to secure yourself in this day and age. Nobody wants to wind up on the news. Nobody wants to be a victim of ransomware attack. And at the end of the day, if you're not securing yourself properly, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's what this whole thing is about. So I think for me, I look at that and I think to myself, there's very little extra cost. Very, very little extra cost. The one solution I think that defense contractors are required to have that the average company probably doesn't is a security information and event management system. That's something that's required by the standard. Typical companies aren't going to have it, and it is something extra. But still, there are cost-effective alternatives. If you haven't found one, you can call us, and protection for a machine is, I think, as little as $20 a machine per month. So for a full-blown, security information management system plus security operations center support from us. So, the excuse that it's not affordable is only an excuse if you haven't figured out how to make it affordable, and On-Call has done that for you. So we can definitely help, definitely reach out to us. But yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, we've made a business over the last 10 years of figuring out how to make it affordable for defense contractors to protect themselves and the incredible businesses that they've built. That's what we do every day. That's what we live for here at On-Call.
Well, going off of that, you've already talked about it a little bit. Feel free to elaborate, because here's your softball question. How can On-Call help small businesses get prepared for CMMC certification?
I know, right? It's kind of like one and the same. It's how can they do it, and then how can we help? How we can help. I think I elaborate a lot on that in answer number one. Um, but there's a better answer, which is the way that we can help is we can basically all but do it for you when it comes to DFARS and NIST SP 800-171. I think that well, first off, we have the fastest, most efficient, most cost-effective system on earth for doing this. Very proud of that. We've been working that system for 7 years now. We've put up probably over 1,000 defense contractors through it. It's just something that has been really well honed through a hard-won experience. So, if you're a defense contractor, I think there's a couple of choices you have. One is you can bang your head against the wall for the next 6 to 24 months and maybe you'll get it figured out. And I mean maybe. Or you can come to us and ultimately we can just simply do it for you, right? And by do it for you, what I really mean is do it with you. We're not allowed to say that we will do CMMC for you, so we won't do CMMC for you. I'm not allowed to say that, but we will walk you through every aspect of it. We will deliver done-for-you policies. We'll deliver standard operating procedures. We will literally develop a risk management program along with you to be compliant. We'll help you to fill out the system security plan, basically fill it out for you. Plan of action and milestones. We'll work with you to submit your SPRS score. We will literally walk the walk with you. And it's interesting. When we train our own staff internally, it's a lot of education we have to do to understand differentiation and understand what it is that makes us different. The reality is every other company out there has some other hidden agenda. They have an agenda to sell IT solutions. They have an agenda to sell some kind of a SaaS solution they've developed to manage the compliance on an ongoing basis. We don't do that. We just get you compliant. If you got deficiencies, we got solutions to solve it, but our mission is to get you compliant, right? That's what we call it, the Mission Compliance Podcast. So, that's really, I think, a huge, huge help to any small to mid-sized businesses to understand that we're not trying to get you on a monthly recurring subscription. It's not how we work. We want to get you from A to B, which is 0 to compliant. And we do it really well. It's like our one trick pony. And that's what we're here for, right? We can take care of the rest for sure. We love doing that. We have a very large client base of defense that we're managing technology for and compliance for. But you don't have to go that way, right? You can come just get compliant with us and then take it from there.
It's our mission, and the name of the podcast is Mission Compliance. It's almost like the name of the podcast was planned that way.
Almost. It was almost like it was well thought out.
I know we don't seem like a couple of guys that think that have things well thought out, but we are. Um, what do you think the easiest way is for smaller defense contractors to get compliant?
Oh man, listen, if I knew the podcast was going to be full of softballs, I would have brought a baseball bat. Uh, what's the easiest way? I don't know. The easiest way is call on call. We'll just do it for you. I think that there's, um, hey, look, that's what we do, right? So in one regard, that's the easy answer. But I know that's not the answer our audience is looking for, right? How do you get compliant? Well, number one is, there's a lot to getting compliant. It's not really easy. There's a lot of complexity there. And what I would personally suggest is one of two things. One, you can call us for free and we'll literally walk you through all of the deliverables in one of our consultation packages, and it will tell you exactly what you need to be compliant. It's no problem. We'll give it to you. Um, and you can go and develop that on your own. You can pay us to do it, etc. Uh, the typical business has two paths to choose. Path number one is to get what they have compliant, in which case you're going to want to implement IT solutions to help you meet the controls, policies and meet the controls, et cetera, et cetera. Then the next step is um, there are some clients that we run into where we look at it and we go, look, it would just be much easier to not worry about what you have here on the ground that's already stood up. It would be much easier if we just created an enclave for you in Microsoft's Azure government environment. That way it's all in the right environment, it's all compliant, and it's all set up in a proven way. And for a lot of small to mid-sized businesses, even large businesses, that is the no-brainer answer. And that's something that we don't push clients in that direction. It just is kind of the obvious thing to do, right? Like, why would you try to take what you've got and make it compliant? Which, by the way, a lot of companies we do that with. If the reality is you can have a much smaller, more cost-effective enclave, and you can just simply make that compliant. It's very powerful, very powerful. It's also extremely cost-effective. It's not as expensive as people think. It's a great example. If you've got a 5-person company, I think we can run your infrastructure. We can run your infrastructure, manage your compliance, give you a virtual compliance officer, like everything you need for under $1,000 a month. And I want to say like the infrastructure, the cloud portion is only like 500 a month. GCC high licensing, all of that's included for small to micro businesses. So um, I think that's probably one area that we just absolutely excel in. We figured out how to make it cost effective. And then we figure out how to manage it for you, included in that, so that you don't have to worry about it. The other thought that I have is, you've also, in terms of how do you make it easy, that's another thing you really want to think about that for a minute, right? Like it doesn't make sense to do it with your system that you have now, right? Because if you're like 80% commercial and 20% defense, or 95% commercial and 5% defense, does it make sense to change the way you do business as opposed to just slicing off that government portion and moving it to a cloud, a compliant cloud for that matter? That to me is the easier way. And what's blown my mind over the last couple of years as we've been doing and implementing these solutions is companies go from this being this impossible nightmare to, wait a minute, this was really easy. And actually, what else can I move to the cloud? Like, what else can I go move to Azure government? Um, so yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways we can make it easy, but most importantly, the biggest way we can make it easy is by understanding how to make those decisions based on your needs, right? You give us the puzzle and we will be world champion Rubik's Cube solvers, right? That's really what we do when it comes to compliance. And there's so many moving parts. There's so many considerations that you just have to kind of dive in feet first. And that's really what we love doing with clients, especially the small to mid-sized ones, but we love our enterprise clients too. But the small to mid-sized businesses, those are the ones that really need the most help. And so, those are the people who are most passionate about helping. And it's also the people that I think benefit the most when it comes to some of these Azure government GCC high enclaves that we stand up and make independent from the rest of their networks. It's a great way to do it. So that's the easy button, I think.
Nice segue. Speaking of puzzles and games and Rubik's cubes, for our silly question in this one, it is if CMMC were a video game level, what power-ups would the smaller contractor need to win?
Well, they probably need power up CMMC level 1, 2, and 3. No, I think that is a good question.
I got
I
him.
think
I got him.
you you may have got me on this one. No, What power-ups would they need? I'll tell you the biggest power-up that they need is if you are out there floating and you don't have a really good, layered cybersecurity approach, information security approach, you know, every one of these control families could have power-ups for you. For instance, door access control systems in small businesses are not as common. Door access control systems is a huge power-up. You can actually get control over your physical building. Security cameras, another one. You can get eyes on your building and monitor properly. Um, a huge power up in my mind has to be the security information and event management system because that's the one superpower that I think small to mid-sized companies would never spend money on unless they literally had to by law, which is exactly what DFARS implements. Um, the ability to have that X-ray vision into your network and actually know for sure what's going on, that's what SIEM is. And it's brilliant. It's really, an innovation that most people don't understand. I think another one of my favorite superpowers, it's a little bit annoying, but Threat Locker. God, we love Threat Locker here at OnCall. Threat Locker has so many solutions that meet compliance controls. The ability to whitelist all applications. You can't execute anything if Threat Locker's on the device. You just can't unless it's approved by IT. That's huge. It gives IT admins a superpower over the users so that they can finally get back in control of the network. We're huge fans of it. Huge, huge fans. The dynamic firewall controls on it are incredible. Just everything about that solution is just a compliance maker's dream. And I think that's an incredible superpower. So, there's a lot of, I'll tell you this, you know what, we're kind of like Batman. Okay. We got a utility belt and we got a lot of tools on that utility belt that we can help you understand or we can even help you implement. Again, Azure government is like maybe the biggest. I mean, that's like the Batmobile, right? Get in the Batmobile and you're safe, baby. You're like bulletproof. So I think Azure government is an incredible superpower. And there's nothing I love better than cruising the streets of Gotham, in the Batmobile. So I think there's a lot of power ups that exist for the small to mid-sized defense contractor that can help them fight above their weight. And that's what we do at OnCall. We introduce them to those superpowers and those power ups so that they can be the compliance hero for their organization and they can really don the cape and get this done. And you know what? Get some closure finally, right? Like if you are listening to this and you've been trying to get compliant for over a year, just stop. Just call us. All right. We can be in and out of there in a week and solve this problem. It is not that hard if you've solved it 1,000 times already, which we have. So, for you in the audience, if you're just banging your head against the wall and you don't know what to do, and you're like, listen to 50 of these podcast episodes, this is like, I'm calling you, right? Like, this is your call. Stop making life hard on yourself. By the way, you should have already been compliant with this and you know it. So, let us just make it easy on you. Like I'm dying to help the world here, right? Like that's that's what we do. And when you're a superhero, that's exactly what you do, right? You reach out to help other people, you get them educated. That's what we're all about on this podcast. It's just helping people understand the reality of what's going on. And Yeah, just trying to do more good in the world. So that's lots of power-ups available. On call can help you headbutt that magical question mark box and get your power-ups so you can finally get compliant. More importantly, get compliant, win more defense business, right? With higher profit margins. I mean, that's what I'm all about.
You know, for whether you're a new listener to this podcast or you've been with us for 70 plus episodes now, if you go back and listen to a lot of these silly questions that book in the end of these podcasts, a lot of them have to do with superheroes and superpowers. And that is a saying of ours here at On Call, where it's like that we want to make you your company's on-call compliance hero. So you could say you should be sensing a theme right about now. It's what we do. But on that note, that wraps up another great episode of Mission Compliance. We hope our discussion today has provided you with valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiration to navigate the ever-evolving world of defense. We'd like to thank Mike for joining us and talking about the ways in which a small defense contractor can get CMMC compliant. Thanks, Mike.
Always a pleasure, Roman. Happy to help.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics and connect with us on our social media channels. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with fellow listeners using the hashtag Mission Compliance Podcast. If they haven't already, what should they do, Mike?
Well, they should like, comment, and definitely subscribe. Subscribing tells us you're listening and we're bringing you value. And that's the stuff we love to hear.
You heard him, because your feedback helps us to continue to bring you thought-provoking episodes and high-quality content. Join us next time as we delve further into the dynamic world of defense, security, and industry innovation. Until then, take care, stay informed, and make compliance your mission. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.